Welcome back, my duelist friends. Casual Duelist here, and before we get too far into today's video, just a couple of things. First, I was doing a lot of bulk taping this weekend, and unfortunately, I got too many days ahead, and I was unable to wish Okami like the proper happy birthday for his birthday this Sunday. So, like, everybody throw him like a happy birthday wish down there in the comments. He watches everything. He'll probably catch this at work, and it'll make him smile. So let's do that. Second, if you do not like Mystic Mind, I don't know why you clicked on the video in the first place, but we are doing a viewer submission for Mystic Mind today. And it's actually corrects some of the issues my previous build had, but I'm going to be using one proxy, so let's go over the proxy card now. The proxied card would be Final Countdown. Just could not find my copies, and an order didn't get here fast enough. Once I realized I didn't have this, because I was playing with a proxy when we did the playtests. I thought I'd find it, and I ordered a couple copies, and they still have yet to get here. So I do apologize. When you see the turned around card, it is Final Countdown. You pay 2K, counting the turn that you activate this. At the end of every turn, you add 1 to the turn counter. You basically get a d20 and just roll up. Once you get to 20, you win. It's just a secondary win condition. It really helps us. So like it sort of helps correct everything. And big shout out to Jamie Clifton for sharing this build with us. I did change one other thing, Jamie, and that was I took out the spirit monster that you had. I don't even remember how to pronounce it off the top of my head. It's a rock spirit 1900. It just attacks over stuff. It's a good card, don't get me wrong. But I chose to go with the Silent Wobbies again, just to help kind of decrease the opponent's hand. So before I actually start listing things, we're going to do this where I'm going to go through it and explain the cards as I'm going through this time. It is a 44 card deck, and the 15 cards of your extra deck, totally your choice. We're going to be using Extravagance, so we don't need them. So let's get into it. First up is going to be the 2 copies of Planet Pathfinder. And of the 5 monster cards we're going to use, this is one of the cool ones. You contribute this card while it's on the field. Add a field spell from your deck to your hand. Obviously, your Mystic Mind. And again, what this is going to help us do is keep monsters off our side of the field so that our opponent can't break the mind that way. So that's pretty cool. And then we are going to use, like I said, I'd like to use the Silent Wobbies, full play set. And again, it's just my personal take on this. During the main phase, you can special summon this from my hand to the opponent's side of the field. Now that it's on the opponent's side of the field, when summoned, my opponent will now draw that 1 card. And then if they do, their opponent, which is now me, gets to gain 2,000 life points. So I get to be more sturdy. That's always good. Plus, I'm guaranteeing a monster on their side. Even better for the mind. And last, the hand size of the card's controller becomes 3. So they lose a lot of options where they forcibly have to put their hand on the field. And again, this isn't going to work out well for them. So very restrictive, very good. And it definitely looks like a Mecha Mouth Shark. So loving it. But that's your 5 monsters. The majority of this deck is going to be the spells. So let's go over the traps real quick. In the traps, one of my favorite traps, Jamie, and you pulled it out of somewhere, Cursed Seal of the Forbidden Spells. So, like, I totally spaced on why this would be so good here. But let's talk about it. Discard a spell to negate a spell and destroy that card. And then your opponent cannot activate any more copies with the same name for the entirety of this duel. So just real quick, being super spell heavy in this deck is going to work out to our advantage, number 1. Number 2, this means like if they activate Twin Twisters or Triple Talents Tactic or anything, they get to activate the 1. We're going to negate it. And then we don't have to worry about the other 2 copies that they potentially have. So again, use this on the most important threats. Nothing else I could say there but that. And then the other 2 are pretty self-explanatory. We have the Dark Bribe. Opponent activates Spell Trap. You want to go ahead, let them draw 1, negate the Spell Trap, and destroy it. Again, it's a way to protect our field spell, as that is going to be the big deal. And 3 copies Solemn Judgment. And you know what, again, we can play the Wobby afterward to buff the life points. But it's really just about being able to say no to just about anything. And realistically, this is what you want to see. So, again, so far we got the 9 traps, the 5 monsters, and then, like I said, that's 14, so 30 spells. So again, this is going to get pretty good. You're going to use 2 copies of that Cauldron of the Old Man, and this is going to be one of 2 win conditions now, because again, we are going to be running that 1 copy final countdown. We'll talk about that guy in a second. But the Cauldron, when is activated, place 1 counter on this. Once per turn during the standby phase, place another counter on this. Once per turn, activate one of the following. Either gain 500 life times counters, or inflict 300 damage to the opponent per counter. And again, this is not a hard once per turn, so if you do get both of these in play, go ahead, use both, it's all good. And you could either keep yourself in the game early, or build it up for the big burn at the end. Because we are going to be using the field barriers, we are going to be wanting 2 copies Cosmic Cyclone. If you guys watch me for the speed duel videos, you guys know this. Pay 1K, target a spell trap on the field, banish it. And this will help us remove our own field barriers. But the additional field barriers, as long as we can protect our field spell, will activate as additional carefree fodder for our Cursed Seals. So again, we're going to get some interplay here, and Jamie was very careful with the card selection to make sure that this deck would work for us. So again, very cool stuff. 3 copies Demise of the Land. Activate when your opponent special summons a monster. Select a field spell from the deck and activate it. It's like Metaverse, but only sort of. So it is what it is. Play it, maximize it. This would be the time for the field barriers. And again, these can lock you out of your own Mystic Mine. Should the Mystic Mine get destroyed or overplayed somehow. Field spells on the field cannot be destroyed. Neither player can activate a new field spell. You can only control 1 at a time. So again, we can still banish, and we can banish this as well. Another thing I thought of that would be kind of fun, but again, the Cosmic Cyclone is better, would be something like maybe emergency provisions. Because if you do get the chance to set the emergency provisions and then flip it, you would also be able to consume these for an extra 1,000, plus you'd be able to target itself because it was already on the field prior to the activation to gain 2k life. This would be where we would talk about the final countdown. And again, I loved this card, playing it back when it was at 3. I used to have the ringtone for, it's the final countdown. We would do that and really annoy my friends. It was a lot of fun. Just wanted to say that. So we'll get into the other cards now. Goddess Skuld Oracle. And again, this is optional. You guys could maybe trim these out if you wanted to. When it's activated, if all monsters you control are Valkyries, you can add Verdan's Guidance from the deck to the hand. We don't play it. Once per turn during the main phase, look at the top 3 of your opponent's deck, and if you do, place them in any order. You cannot normal or special summon the rest of the turn, except fairies. Again, the real reason you're doing this is just to kind of mess with the opponent. You want to keep things away from them that would allow them to go ahead and get the Mystic Mine out and off the field. This is really the only reason for playing this. If you don't feel like you want to do that, you could trim some of the deck here maybe. There will be other options here in a minute. One of those being the Harpy's Feather Duster. Again, you can blow up the opponent's back row. It's very funny when you go ahead, you give them the Wobby, they start their turn, and then they rush all the cards into their back row. Because again, it's minimum hand size or maximum hand size of 3 now. So they don't want to lose all these options. And then you go to your turn, you're just like Feather Duster. It's a very powerful feeling. I was told I'm not allowed to play this at practice anymore, so thanks for that. This was an amazing time to abuse it. But again, it is basic goodness. The 2 copies left arm offering. If you have 2 or more cards in your hand, other cards in your hand, so not counting this when you go to activate it, banish the entire hand, add a spell from the deck to the hand. You may not set spell traps during the turn you activate this. And again, it's to prevent the loss, to balance this card's effect. And the brilliant part here is, even with 1 final countdown and with only 2 cauldrons, this really brings that stability back up. So again, good card, great card. Alright, let's get that out of here. Let's get next. Next is the big boss card itself, the Mystic Mine. And I know guys, but the more I played this, the more I'm like, there are enough ways that you could get rid of this. That just, because they're not mainstream, everybody says the card isn't fair, but the cards exist. The cards are all budget to get rid of this. Maybe I'll take an entire day and explain like 3 cards you could add to your side deck that just stop this from being a thing. So just on the off chance that you see this, you guys can play through it. But for the sake of this deck, we need to play it. So if the opponent controls more monsters than you, they cannot activate monster effects or declare attacks. If the opposite happens, if I control more, then I can't use effects or attacks. And once per turn during the end phase, if both players have the same number of monsters at the end phase, destroy the card. So, again, I think it's fair. There are ways of doing it that are, again, like I said, cheap, common, very easy to get a hold of. So just think about it. 3 pots of duality. We want to excavate 3. Add 1 to hand. Shuffle or place the rest to the bottom of the deck. Can't special summon the turn that you play this, but that's fine. And what's going to happen is it's going to interact well with the next card, Pot of Extravagance, which has us at the start of the main phase 1 banishing 3 or 6 random face down from our extra deck, which is again why we don't need to actually talk about what cards are there. You just pick up 15 cards, guys. But for every 3 that you banish this way, you get to draw a card. And then for the rest of this turn after this resolves, you cannot draw any cards by card effect. So again, that's why we have so many add to hand effects or excavate. Next up, Prohibition. You guys know what this is going to be for. You guys pick a card name, and while this is face up, nobody can activate the card that has that card name. Pick your most unwelcome threats. This changes based on the meta. It changes based on your opponent. The only thing I could say is watch what your opponent does and respond in kind. But it's a good card, great card when you need to make up and go after them. Stop them from doing certain things. We do board the 1 Geki in here. Again, not too sure why you had this one in here, but I'm not going to argue about it too much. I get it. If they go first, they have some setup. If it's a monster board that stops you, break the monster board. I get it, but again, this could be cut, maybe. Again, it's a fun deck, guys. You got to try it. Last card, Terraforming. I don't got to explain this. You guys know what's going on. As far as the test hands video, guys, you really don't need it. It's really just mess with your opponent in the best way possible. And again, thank you, Jamie, for sharing this with us. If you guys did stay all the way through the video, thanks for stopping by. It means a whole lot. Thanks for submitting the deck. If you guys want to support the channel, do all of the things, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, or conversely, don't do any of it and just go and have a great day anyway, because that's really what it's about, guys. Hopefully I get to see you guys another time, and we should have another deck or something tomorrow. So let's see what happens, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.